Hi, Year 9. Hopefully, if you are working from home, you've managed to get onto Teams and access everything that you are going to need for today's lesson. So we're going to carry on from where we left off last week. And over the next two lessons, you are going to be creating a time plan for two of the dishes that you intend to sell from your food truck. Your time plan should be clear to follow and be dovetailed to show that you can plan and organise your practical safely. I will explain what dovetailing a recipe means later on in the video. And we're going to start by creating a practice time plan using two recipes that I'm providing you, so tagliatelle and panna cotta. So the resources that you are going to need are in Teams, like I've just said. I'm going to pause the PowerPoint to give you time to open them up. So for this lesson, you need open on your screen the time plan template, the tagliatelle recipe, and the panna cotta recipe. So if you haven't already got those open, do that now for me. Okay, so you should now have everything you need in front of you, and we're going to start off with the mise en place, and that's a catering term. Catering terms generally are French, and it basically just means that everything's in its place. So what you need to do is you need to look at your two ingredients lists for both of the recipes, and you need to decide what you need to do to prepare before you start cooking. So what ingredients need weighing out, so you've got to put the amounts and what they are, what needs chopping up and putting in bowls ready for the practical, and what equipment do you need to get out and ready. It might also be that you have to put the cooker on, put the oven on, preheat the oven, and all of that goes into the mise en place. Okay, so I'm going to pause the presentation here, or you're going to pause it, and I want you to give yourself 15 minutes to complete this section. Okay, now if you're not sure what exactly it is that I mean or that I want from you, if you go over to the next slide, then here's a really good example. Okay, so everything's color coded, and you'll notice that your recipes are color coded, and it's really, really detailed. So you need to put the time that you start. I'll let you choose what time you would start your practical. And you just need to write in the steps the mise en place here. Okay. Not everything goes in one step. I want it to be spread out, please. Okay. So 15 minutes, pause the presentation, off you go. Okay, so hopefully you've had a go at that, and you should have a really, really detailed or a mise en place at the very least. Okay, so that's the first bit of the time plan done. What we're going to go on to do next is to do the main body. We're going to do that middle column. So you need to start putting the steps for each of the two recipes into the time plan. And like I said, I'm happy for you to copy and paste all the steps across. You will have noticed that I've colour coded each recipe. What I shouldn't be seeing is one block of colour followed by a second block of colour. You should be looking at the recipes together. Okay, so for example, you might choose to make your pasta first and then put it into the fridge to rest, and then you're going to move on to making your panna cotta. And there should be no points in this time plan where you're doing nothing. So basically, what I don't want to see is I don't want to see you making one recipe, finishing that, and then starting another. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to take those individual steps for both the recipes and we're going to dovetail them together. Okay, so that hopefully the end result is that both dishes are finished at exactly the same time. Okay, and again, if you can move on to this next slide, it gives you a really, really good example. And what you should be able to see is that we start off with one colour and then we've got another colour. Going back to the red, and then we've got a bit of blue. Okay, so we're managing and we're organising our time really, really well. Okay, there should be no point at which you're doing nothing, and it might be that you get halfway down the PowerPoint and you think, well, actually, that would be a really good point at which to do some washing up. And if you want to put a washing up point halfway through your time plan, that's absolutely up to you. That's your decision. Okay, so you should have those colour-coded recipes. I want you to pause the presentation and I want you to give yourself 30 minutes, which sounds like a long time, but you're not going to do it all at once. You're going to get halfway through and you're going to realise that you've missed a step out, or actually that would go better there. So you start kind of moving everything around. Okay, so 30 minutes and then come back to me. So that's what you're looking for. Okay. Okay, so if you started the video again, it means that you've finished the main body of your time plan. Now, if you've got some time left over, what you can have a go at is the extension plan. So once you're happy with the order of your time plan, you need to put in some special points or contingencies into the final column. So these might include the temperature that you preheat the oven to, the use of bacterial hand soap, really, really relevant at the moment with COVID, what equipment you might need to use for specific steps in the time plan, food hygiene and safety points. So, are you having to wash your hands after handling raw meat? Are you going to have to swap chopping boards? Are you going to wipe your work surface down? That's where your washing up point might come in. What plates and bowls are you going to use? So be specific with colour. You're going to use a square plate, a large plate, a round plate, a blue plate, a white plate. Put that into your special points. And how are you going to control your portion sizes? Are you going to weigh out each portion? Are you going to measure them? Are you going to cut them accurately? Okay. And again, you can go back. You can have a look at the special points in the examples that I've given, and hopefully by the time you've completed that, you should have a really, really detailed time plan to kind of follow for your actual recipes. Now, what I would like you to do, a little bit of homework, nothing too difficult for next lesson. Think about the dishes that you want to serve in your food truck, and I want you to find 2 recipes, okay? And I want 4 recipes. So if you're planning on, for example, selling burgers, I don't want you just to cook a pre-made burger and put it into a pre-made roll, okay? I want you to find a recipe for bread rolls, I want you to find a recipe for the burger, and I want you to find a recipe for fries. Anything else that you're going to make, I want the recipes in full, okay? And you need those for the next lesson, okay? So have them handy.